Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the No Name Podcast. You're in tune now to the one and only J Juju St. Paul, and we have my man
Ish the guy.
Ish the guy, and we are once again back with another God MC Rahiem, back for part 2. Thank you, sir, for returning for the second part of this interview. So we're gonna tie it up with this one. How have you been?
Thank you for having me.
Returning champ.
In the ring. I was going for that belt. So how have you been keeping anyway since our last conversation?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just keeping my eyes open and my ears to the ground because we're going through a lot of really abnormal, crazy times right now, and it's no telling what's going to happen next.
Definitely.
Well, we was just chatting with our stats, weren't we, as well? And he was just saying exactly the same thing. It's like seems like a movie, and he wants to know who's directing this because they're doing it.
Yeah, man, like a cliffhanger. Every you never know what to expect, and you don't know who done it.
That's right. For real, man. But quick question. I want to congratulate you and the rest of the squad, for winning the Lifetime Achievement Award for the Grammys. How did that feel getting that nod?
It was great. Completely out of left field. We weren't, well, I could speak for myself. I definitely wasn't expecting it. I know that I feel as though we put in the work to have, justified receiving it. But when, after we were recognized by the Rock Hall, the first institution, or I don't know if it's not an institution, but the first people to recognize us, the first entity to recognize us was matter of fact, the National Recording Registry. And that's a committee put together by the U.S. Congress, and they deem certain audio and literary works as historical. So they deemed the message historical. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was in 2002. And then the next entity that gave us some recognition was, I believe, the VH1 Hip Hop Honors, and I think that was in 2004. And so with each accolades that we received, each one seemed to get essentially larger, but no checks. No checks came with them. I guess that as a result of your receiving these prestigious awards to the bestower, maybe they feel as though if you have a savvy enough team behind you, that you will be able to utilize this this time that you're going to receive this award to your advantage and, make money. And a lot of people are able to make money. You put that good Grammy Award winner sticker on your, whatever product that you're putting out. And, that gives it a little extra legs,
Yeah. Well, once again, like Ish was saying, congratulations, because once again, as you were saying from the the previous pod that we were doing or interview, is you guys did this all from nothing. You made something out of nothing, and to a point, it's like especially considering how the Black journey is, especially in the States, or even just globally, but especially in the States, is the fact that you're being recognized on a greater platform, but as you've mentioned, it depends on the team, which kind of leads into kind of one of the questions that I'm interested in as well. If you're happy, as to talk about it.
Sure.
But when was it in the that you guys started to realize, or you started to realize as a group, that you were starting to maybe crumble apart or come apart in the seams, you know, so much to a point that, you know, like you said, is if you were to go into like a record store, like remember, like I know Tower Records, we had one here, or HMV, which we had over here, you know, once you've got like that Grammy, or you've like won this prestigious award, all of a sudden your stuff's going to be on the front. You know, like when it comes to Grammy Award winners, you'll have like the reprint vinyls, get your CDs out. You just tell the people, just pop your sticker on it. And then even if it might not be selling at the full cost as it was once upon a time, but you're still making that residuals to kind of build you up, which then equals to more opportunities and shows and interviews. And, you know, just a little bit of a nice history lesson to say, like, look, if it wasn't for people like us, this is where we're here. So yeah, back in the question, where was it that it started to come apart in the seams that you personally believe? Or
well, you know, it started when maybe late 1983. You know, we released the message in the latter of '82, and it was, you know, it was very successful. And I recall one Christmas morning, we had, I don't know if it was, I don't know if we had a recording session or if we had a photo shoot or radio interviews or what it was. I don't remember what the reason was why we needed to be at Sugar Hill Records offices Christmas morning this particular year, but we had to be there, and we took the bus, the public transportation bus from Port Authority, from the George Washington Bridge in New York, and it took us, you know, to Englewood, New Jersey. So this was a few months after the message, in fact. I don't remember the month that the message was released, but I just remember it was released before Christmas of that year, '82. And so while we crossed the street after we got off the bus, and we walked around the corner, and we were about to walk the long block to go to Sugar Hill Records recording studios. And we see, well, no, first we heard the message blasting from someone's car that was, you know, obviously about to pass by us. And so we look up and we notice it's a canary yellow Porsche with a red ribbon wrapped around it. And it's Joey Robinson Jr., Sylvia Robinson's son, driving this canary yellow Porsche that she bought him for Christmas with the money from the message. No. And we were getting off of the bus. We took the bus.
That's fucked up.
So after that, we had a conversation. We had a group conversation because prior to that, we had never received any royalties. Like, we never got any royalties from Sugar Hill Records, like not a dime. And all of the money that we have ever gotten from Sugar Hill Records were all advances. So, you know, we're getting advanced, you know, pretty much whenever we ask for an advance. But like, damn, we didn't make any money of our own over and above like what we're borrowing. Like, when do we get to the point where you're giving us the money that you actually owe us and not money that we're borrowing from you? You know what I mean? So that was one eye opener that made us come to that conclusion. And then I think one time we were on tour with Rick James that year, and we were talking to him, and he was telling us how much money that he receives for a budget to record. It was like, I get like $1.2 million every time, you know, I do a new album. When I do another album, like my next album, it goes up. And so we're like, well, so wait a minute. So they give you this money, and then he's like, yeah. And then me and the Stone City Band go in there, after we've written the songs or whatever. But we have a little pre-production set up so that we don't burn up all the money, the whole budget in the studio making up songs. We make up the songs at another studio, and then that we don't have to pay for. And then when we record the songs, we go record them in the real studio.
Hey, I think the man don't want you to tell that story. The record companies, they don't want to tell you that. They don't want you to tell your story.
Exactly.
But yeah, finish what you were saying, King.
Yeah. So I don't remember.
So you were talking about you got to the point with Rick James, which I've got a whole bunch of questions, but I try to hold back. But okay. They were recording in a studio that they didn't have to pay for, and then they went into recording in the main studio.
Right. And so that way, whatever money that they came in under the budget that they were allotted to record their album, he said that he got to put that in his pocket. So we just knew that we were not getting the same situation at Sugar Hill. And we spoke to Smokey Robinson, and he told us the same thing. And so as far as we knew, receiving a recording budget was the standard way that recording artists, went in the studio and recorded an album. So we wanted to be treated the same way. We wanted to receive royalties, which we never received, and we wanted to actually have a recording budget because we were being charged every time it was time to pay us royalties. We get a royalty statement saying how much we owed, but never how much we made. You know what I mean? Or never, right? Yeah, never how much we made, just how much we owed. And the studio time was always, astronomical. Like the prices that we were charged for studio time was always astronomical. So we were like, we would like to actually know how much our budget is to record. Like what is the price what's the amount you set aside for us to record? Because there must be a ceiling, there must be a ceiling on it, and there must be a basement. So we need to know what the high end and what the low end is of our recording budget so that we can go in the studio informed and not bullshit around while we're in there, maximize this time and make the most out of it, and work as efficiently as possible so that after we're done recording, we could keep whatever the money is that's left over, like everyone else did.
Yeah.
But they didn't afford us that privilege because they never told us how much our budget was, and they never physically gave us our budget the way that Elektra Records did. Elektra Records, when we got our budget, they gave me, Flash, and Kid Creole a check for $250,000, and as each album, I think we recorded 3 or 4 albums with them, but as each album, as we recorded each album, our budgets escalated, which was why I was a little bit perturbed that we didn't stay with Elektra, because our next budget was going to be $1 million after the last album that we recorded there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where pretty much everything started to kind of defizzle out.
Yeah, from Sugar Hill, we decided, that wasn't the place to be for us, because we wanted to be treated like every other artist and receive a recording budget, receive royalties, not just advances and that sort of thing. So yeah, we went shortly after that. We went through the process of obtaining a lawyer to sue Sugar Hill and get off the label.
And quick question, Julie, before you ask the next question. Like, hindsight now, do you feel that they took advantage of a lot of artists, because a lot of the artists like yourself growing up, you kind of didn't know how the business worked, and because not understanding how the business worked, they took advantage of a lot of artists like yourselves?
Yeah, I think that was a large part of it, and then the other part of it is, I mean, yeah. Well, that's the majority of it. That's probably the whole of it, because I mean, unless you're contract savvy and you understand every word in your contract, which isn't impossible. I mean, because it's just English, and you could understand every word in your contract. But the majority of artists don't take the time to, read their contract thoroughly to get a clear and concise understanding. So, with that being said, the majority of artists rely on their attorneys to tell them what their contract says. And so, personally, I have been signing contracts long enough, and I have a well enough mastery of the English language to decipher what my contracts mean when I'm issued a contract. So, I mean, my attorneys now and I, when I get a contract, we consult with one another. I peruse the contract and I redline it, and I send it to my attorney redlined so that she can check it out and let me know if she sees something that I didn't see, or maybe I saw something she didn't see. And so, we corroborate that way. So that way, we don't miss anything. But back in the days, attorneys didn't, artists didn't really take the time to really understand their contracts. And so nowadays, when you can hear the most popular artist song on the radio all day, every day, and see their videos all day, every day. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting paid. That just means that someone is paying to promote them, if it's costing them money to promote them, which in most cases it is. But that doesn't necessarily ensure that the artist is receiving the amount of money consistent with how much they're getting promoted and seen and heard.
It's like some crazy hustle, because like was just saying to Rich before, we just got disconnected temporarily. It's like, it's heartbreaking really hearing these stories, especially now coming from how early on in the stage of where we are now, and to the sense of what hip hop is.
Right.
It pulls on heartstrings, but it is literally heartbreaking, because it's like all of that what you guys had to go through in order for the truth to be revealed, in order so that actual future artists and people can actually see, sort of like even way before TLC and those types of contracts, is like, this is what you have to be careful who you sign to and who you agree to do business with, because they are happy to drop you in a heartbeat and take everything you make. And New York Minute,
that's right.
I'll use the correct terminology. In New York Minute, they're that quick. But I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like the city that dreams are supposed to be made from. But you seem to go up from the poorest part, quoting 50 year with that on that power.
I'm down by law, and I know my way around. Too many people.
That's right.
But like we mentioned before, quickly, sorry, Ish, because there's just like two major questions that I want to get to. One is an extension. Rick James, man. What was it like? Well, I mean, not the fact that he gave you all of this knowledge, but what was Rick James like? What was he like to you? was he as wild? Was he as wild? Or was he actually having any humble moments? But
he was Rick James was like my big brother.
Really?
And I would say my big brother, and I strongly believe that I had a closer connection with Rick James than the rest of the members of my group did, because we're both Aquarius. And so he called me his Aquarian little brother. And every time he came to New York City, without fail, he'd call me and be like, yo, what you doing? And I'd be like, nothing, just home chilling. Yo, I'm at the Parker Meridian. Come meet me. That was his favorite hotel to stay at. I'll go meet him at the Parker Meridian, and then the shenanigans began after that. and when I say shenanigans, I mean like rock and roll Hall of Fame, sex, drugs, rock and roll shenanigans. Yeah, like that.
Oh, that's crazy.
One time we were doing a show with Rick, and we were backstage in the corridor, waiting for our time to go on stage. And matter of fact, it was right before it was our time to go on stage. And we were right outside of Rick's dressing room. And we were outside of Rick's dressing room taking pictures and stuff. And we heard all of this commotion going on in his dressing room. And then all of a sudden, his dressing room door opens. And all you heard was, "You got me fucked up. I'm Rick James, bitch." Just like that. I swear, this was dead ass real. And then all you saw was a leather-clad leg with a thigh-high boot at the end, kick this chick in the ass, and airborne. Like that, out of his dressing room. No exaggeration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I was actually there. I was actually at Studio 54 when he slapped Charlie Murphy. And said, I was physically there. I was there. Yes.
So wait a minute. So wait, do you know? Because this is like a golden thing, which I guess now, like, maybe a lot of people don't know. Technically, you could take over them Charlie Murphy, Rick James.
Easily. He had a thing for Eddie and Charlie. He called them darknesses, and because to him, in his mind, Eddie was too dark to be as much as big of a star as he was. So that's the reason why he teased Eddie to no end. And it was just priceless, man. I was actually supposed to be at Eddie's house when they recorded Party All the Time.
Wow.
They recorded some of it. I think they recorded the track at Rick's house in Buffalo. No, I'm sorry. I was supposed to be at Rick's house when they recorded it. And they recorded the track at Rick's house, but there was like the biggest snowstorm of that year. And so we got snowed in, and so I couldn't make it to Buffalo, but I was supposed to be there with them while they were recording that song. Yeah,
well, that's crazy. So I mean, so then, and did you know Charlie? Because I mean, Charlie used to, his relationship was a bit different because obviously Eddie was more limelight,
right? His relationship was much different than Eddie's and Rick.
So what was Charlie like as a person to yourself? If you ever had the chance to interact with him?
Well, Charlie was pretty much like he played the background at that time. He didn't really. He wasn't really saying much. Like the guys that were really, I guess, more interactive, that were part of Eddie Murphy's camp at that time. One of the guys was his best friend, a guy named Clint. In fact, Clint is in Trading Places in the scene where Eddie is in the jail cell, and one of the guys, the short guy in the cell with him, says something to him about damn it. Ooh, I'm getting old.
I'm about to Google that right now.
Damn, I can't remember the lines at the moment. It'll come to me probably. But yeah, he's in that movie with Eddie, and
Right.
and he used to do a lot of stuff with Eddie initially. Clinton.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
You didn't really see Charlie probably until like later on in Eddie's career.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So, so just once again skipping the needle a little bit more forward. So, Grandmaster Flash Furious 5 now pretty much non-existent. You guys have gone and done your like separate things. So, what was it like watching the likes of like your KRS Ones, your EPMDs, Public Enemies, coming out of the changing the kind of narrative of hip hop, becoming a little bit more aggressive with, their approach to it, and also kind of giving that kind of, that alternative scene of kind of what, New York and living that kind of hip hop life was. Was there much interactions? Did any of them kind of reach out to you, or was it still kind of that more competitive sense? Or
well, okay, so KRS One and Melly Mel had, well, no, it didn't happen. It's a mythical battle.
right, yeah.
KRS One claims that he and Melly Mel had a battle and that he beat Melly Mel in a battle. Now I was there, and it wasn't a battle.
Okay.
I think KRS One is a phenomenal artist, both recording and live performances. But I don't think that he needs to. I think that him, no one else, him. No. I want to cast that. No, mind. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this differently.
No,
okay.
Okay. So I think he's a phenomenal artist, live and recording wise. I think that as far as being a teacher is concerned, I think that we are all teachers in our own regard. I have not claimed the title of teacher because I'm much more a student. I would prefer to remain much more of a student than ever a teacher, because to me, once you become the master or the teacher or the master teacher, then you've learned all that there is to learn, and you have successfully stunted your growth, unless there's nothing else to learn. Okay. Yeah. But since these are words that we're talking about, we can never know too many words. We can never know enough words. So I'm always the teacher. I mean, always the student, excuse me, never the teacher. And so with regards to so I'm trying to get off of him, but it's hard because I need to say what I have to say first.
Say it if you gotta say it, man.
Okay, you say it. Get off your chest. That's what we're here for.
Get it off your chest. Don't be
right.
correct.
So we all have a history, him included, and I think that it would serve all of us extremely well if each one of us were responsible for telling our own history and not bother to try and, I'm not qualified to tell KRS One's history, even though I watched it from beginning to now, but I don't know the intricate details of KRS One's history. So that would disqualify me from being able to, to tell it, right? I could only tell the things that I know on the surface. I would not be able to give you much backstory, right? And so KRS One, he should do the same,
That's
because he has assumed this role of the teacher. And so because he's assumed this role as the teacher, I guess he feels pressured to go around teaching everyone. And so fine, that's fine. And there's people who want to learn what he has to teach. But when you teach people, you should teach them accurate information, because you are not a teacher if you are deliberately teaching false information.
I feel you on that. Do you feel like, I know I'm a type of person that like to get deep into thought, and do you feel like, I'm not trying to pick on him or anything, but do you feel like this mirage as a teacher is a form of hiding his insecurity?
I think that it's a gimmick.
Really?
I think it's a complete gimmick, and you know, I mean, not to discredit his intellect at all, because he's very intelligent. But you know, when it comes to history, all right, unless you are the person who created the history, right, then there are intimate details of this history that you aren't aware of, right? And so if the intimate details of this history that you are unaware of are not accessible to you for whatever the reason may be, then it behooves you to either back off and not tell the history, or just tell as much as you know and say, you know what, this is as far as I've gotten, but you know, there's much more to it than this, but I don't know it yet. I'm still on a discovery mission. But he's too arrogant to do that. He won't do that. His arrogance won't allow him to do that. So instead of doing that, he gives false information. And even when the people who he could obtain the correct information from are reaching out, or you know, or saying, you know, in social media, yo, that's incorrect or whatever, like, nobody's coming at him. Like, nobody's coming for his head. Nobody's saying, you know, yo, you should stop lying or stop giving false information or anything at first. But then, you know, these are the people who paved the way for you. And so you can't tell my history. You wasn't there. You ain't have your hangout card yet. You was, you know, no, for real. Like, the disparity in age, even if it's 2 years, even if I don't know how old he is, I'm not sure. I think he might be. You know what? I'll damn Google it.
Like you said, you're getting a fact straight now, man. That's.
Also, real talk.
Hey, Google, how old is KRS One?
KRS One is 55 years old.
Okay.
I was about to say he's like 50 something, but yeah.
All right, so he's 55. All right, I'm 57. So now, the disparity, that 2-year disparity in our ages, okay? It's not a big disparity in age at all today. But in the 70s, that was a tremendous disparity in age. And 2 years older, more than likely in the 70s, meant the difference between whether or not you could stay out past the time when the street lights came on, went off, and came on, and when you couldn't. So I'm not saying that was his reality. I'm saying that was the norm for that time. And so to say that, you know, he attended Kool Herc's jams when he's 55 and I'm 57, and I couldn't, like, the first Kool Herc jam I went to was in 1976. I was 13. It was at the Webster Avenue PAL. I came home at 4:30 in the morning. Guess what? My next hip hop jam I went to, it wasn't until 2 years later, because my mother tore my ass out the frame and kept them and put me on punishment, and I wasn't able to go to another hip hop jam until 2 years later.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was because I had no business hanging out till 4:30 in the morning, and I'm 13 damn years old. So I mean, but he was an orphan. So maybe his reality, maybe his circumstances were different. I don't know. But I know that him saying that he attended a Cool Herc jam, and he's 2 years younger than I am, in the 70s, that was not the norm.
Right. But then also that environment is a small environment, even though it's a big environment, but everybody knew everybody.
Everybody knew everybody. So, and like, for example, when I run into people that used to come to our jams back in the days, it's like I'm running into my cousin or you know what I mean? Like, it's like we're family. That's how long we've known each other. It was a very small community of people. And you know, well, okay, so the Bronx is kind of big, but when it came to the places that you went to in order to see and hear hip hop music, you know, there were a few places, you know, outside areas. There were many more outside places to go to hear hip hop than there were clubs. So, okay, so you went to the club. I mean, you went to the parks and you went to the clubs. But besides that, you know, your experience with hip hop or your ability to go to hip hop jams, notwithstanding the outside jams in the clubs, there were none. So that was the only exposure that you got. You know?
Yeah.
Man.
That's some truth there, man.
And so other artists, PE, EPMD, now even KRS One, when all of these artists first released their first songs, especially KRS One, because he was from the Bronx, I was like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the bridge is over. The
bridge is over.
Oh my God. Like, that was everything. That was my anthem. Okay. And then, you know, after artists outside of the Bronx began to gain popularity and recognition, and I began to notice and respect their artistry, I definitely PE, Rebel Without a Pause. Like that, like when the first time I heard that song on the radio, like, let me just say, there's a few rap artists' music that I probably should not be behind the wheel of a car driving while listening to. Okay,
Yes.
Public Enemy is one of them. Yeah. Public Enemy is one of them. NWA, Tupac, DMX. Those four artists right there, I should not be behind the wheel of any vehicle in motion while their music is playing. Yeah. They bring out the absolute beast, the worst in me. Whatever you can think of bad, it brings it out, but for a good reason. For a good reason.
Yeah.
Black and all of that shit. You know what I mean? Excuse me 1 second.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead.
Yo, I'm here, bro. If you gonna come on. Okay. All right. Our maintenance guy, he's installing additional heating in here.
Nice. Right, so means we know we got about 20 minutes because we know what happened last time. No, but I appreciate it. I know you're moving, you're doing all this. Once again, I know it's reciprocal on this basis, but yeah, no. So in the case of just finish off before Ish, because you got your questions.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So PE, EPMD, Cool G Rap, all of these artists, when they first came out, were extremely, extremely inspiring and motivational for me. They made me want to write lyrics. And for a minute, I think during the time shortly before and after the movie Juice was released, I was more pursuant of being an R&B artist because I sing. So and Hank Shockley signed me to Soul Records. Soul Records was a subsidiary of MCA, and they released the Juice soundtrack. And so they signed me to be their first R&B artist. And so at the time, I was kind of fed up with being an MC. I had no desire to be an MC, but the Juice soundtrack itself single-handedly made me start writing lyrics again.
Wow.
I was pissed off with myself that I didn't put a rap song on the Juice soundtrack, and that I put an R&B song on the Juice soundtrack. I was pissed off. I mean, I got a gold record for it. You know,
but that's what I'm saying. You still on there. You still featured.
And I got paid. I got paid for it. But I think I believe strongly that I would have gotten a lot more recognition had I, rapped as opposed to sung.
Yeah, but at the same time, I look at it. You're kind of diverse in R&B as well as hip hop too. So you're kind of one of those rare artists that can do both. Not a lot of people can do both. That's
very true. And I guess that's probably why today when I try to encourage my son calls himself Amen, but his name is Rahiem, and I try to encourage him because like this dude, like he can sing like R. Kelly.
Wow.
But he could spit like Hov, like no exaggeration, not just because he's my son. I really had to get my weight up lyrically in order for my son to feel like I was qualified to be on the song.
Wow.
Do you hear me?
I feel
I'm in
the Dead Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay?
You need to put on that. You need to put that on the hoodie. I had to get my bars up to show my son I am still the one.
No, my son is the truth. I'm not even saying that because that's my son. For a long time, when my son would spit, I would just sit down and shut up.
Wow.
Okay. So he inspires me, and I can't wait for the world to hear him. And he was born on my birthday.
But you make like, yo, we want him on here as well, you know.
We want some exclusive. We want some exclusive.
Okay, matter of fact, the next time he doesn't live far from me. Next time he comes over here, I'll call you guys.
Dope.
I mean, we could just record a show. Just
100%.
I just want a father. Honestly, I want a father and son duet so I can post on Dad Is Not a Now.
Yeah.
Back to back. Yeah. I want it as a clip as well. Yeah, 100%.
And my youngest daughter, she sings and raps as well, and she's phenomenal. Matter of fact, she just signed to Universal.
Congratulations!
Yeah, her first single will be out next month.
Wow.
And at least now you got daddy who knows what the contracts and everything else is about.
There you go.
Yeah, now for real, you're gonna do it right this time.
Exactly.
But transition into, your inspiration now is your children, your daughter and your son. Mm-hmm. So what kind of wisdom have you taught them, the experience that you've been through in the music business?
Well, it's kind of an ongoing lesson that with them because, I'll give them the greatest pep talk, and then they'll seem to get it, and then because they're young, they're kids, so so they they get it, but they get it for a minute, and then when they're out of my sight or out of my jurisdiction, and they're around other influencers, then they're influenced by other things and other people, and so then, they may have to be redirected at some point, and I don't have a problem with that. I just try to impress upon them, especially my daughter, that you know, the industry is inundated with young women whose labels are using them as sex objects in order to sell their music. And I'm not knocking them at all. I'm not knocking them. I'm not even going to say anything is wrong with it, because they're young, they're attractive, they're sexy, and so to promote their sexuality while they actually have the sexuality to promote, I get it. But what I try to impress upon my baby girl is that your sexuality is not the end all be all, and that's not the whole of your arsenal. That is merely a fraction of your arsenal. You actually have talent. You can actually sing your face off. She graduated from the High School of the Performing Arts in New Jersey. And so she went to school for voice. And so she can actually sing. And so she doesn't have to compromise her moral integrity to sell units. So I impressed that upon her. And the other thing I impress upon both of my kids is that, don't sell yourself short by trying to be other than the unique individual that each one of us was born to be. Because if you listen to the radio right now, or if you watch videos right now, everybody's music reminds you of somebody else's.
Yes.
And not somebody from the past, somebody from right now. All of their music sounds like somebody else's music that has music out right now too. So don't compromise your artistic integrity and subscribe to the cookie cutter mentality, by being like everyone else. And to some degree, you can't help being like somebody else, because there's only 12 notes and 32 semitones in all of music. So, and music has been around since the beginning of the civilized world. So those 12 notes and 32 semitones have been played in every conceivable combination that you could possibly think of. So there's no way and no combination that you could possibly play these 12 notes and 32 semitones that hasn't been played and that hasn't been heard before. But what you can do to separate yourself from everyone else is two things. One, if you're producing your sound, then what you do that will set your sound apart from everyone else's is how you utilize sound. The way that you utilize sound is what will separate your 12 notes and your 32 semitones away from how everyone else's 12 notes and 32 semitones sound.
There you go.
And the other thing is, if you look at everyone, you could probably line them up and they'd seem like they were in uniform, because a lot of them dress alike, and so I just tried to, impress upon them to, no matter what, go out of your way to retain every semblance of the unique individual that you were born to be, because otherwise you're just like everybody else. And then what sets you, what separates you, what makes your music any different?
Reach. That's facts. Wow.
You know what? For anyone who's tuning in and listening, especially if you made it this far, he's just giving you the whole play, the whole playbook right there. Like, I mean, the first time I heard this statement obviously was from a Nas lyric, "No idea is original." Same way I say you can't reinvent the wheel, but you can customize it in your own way. So always approach each situation like you can. Like, not all the time, like, mocking or, replicating something is a form of flattery. But it's like, once again, it's like, what do you do with it? Give someone a chicken, give people like the same array of spices, and what you come out of it is what you come out with it at the end of the day,
Yeah, definitely. And the beauty of our sound, our culture is that I was talking to Juju earlier because I'm like deep in thought like that, is that the beauty of our sound, it built a civilization in a civilization. We took nothing and we built our own civilization in New York and exploded around the world.
Well, I'm sorry. I feel like I need to interject.
No, go ahead, King.
Because you said we took nothing.
No, we didn't take that. I said the world. No, the world took it.
Right. But before that, you said we took nothing and we made.
No, I would say we made. What I was trying to say is that we had nothing. We turned nothing into something.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify something.
Right.
So I don't know what you're referring to when you said we took nothing.
No, took nothing. I mean, what I was saying is that we started with nothing. We created nothing out of something.
Okay.
The sound.
No. I'm not. You didn't say anything wrong. The only thing that I'm trying to say is that, okay, so this means a lot to me to say this, because prior to the existence of hip hop, right? We had R&B and soul music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my absolute idol, hands down, before there was a hip hop, was James Brown. Okay,
the godfather of hip hop and fucking soul, man, for real.
He was my Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson became my Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson became my favorite entertainer after James Brown. Okay, and so the reason why Michael Jackson became my favorite entertainer after James Brown was because I saw James Brown first. And so James Brown was all I knew. But James Brown spoke to me, he spoke directly to me as far as his music, his dance moves, everything. So growing up, when they would play, when my mom, whenever we'd have a house party in my house, when she got tired of DJing, she would have me come out and she would put on James Brown's music and I'd sing and dance to all James Brown songs. So he was my first Michael Jackson. So I'm saying all of this to say that before the world knew about hip hop music, in the Bronx, before there was a hip hop culture, James Brown's music was very, very inspirational in helping to create the climate.
Yeah.
Yes.
That ultimately became the hip hop culture. And so when you said that we took nothing and we made it into something, the only reason why it prompted a response in me is because I don't feel as if the legendary artists that preceded hip hop music get their just due.
Right.
And we hip hop practitioners, there's a father of hip hop. His name is Kool Herc. Right. But and not to discredit Kool Herc, even though he's not one of my favorite people in the whole world. But I'm just an honest person, and that's just
we appreciate it.
Yeah. So but I give him the credit that he's due, and he is the father of hip hop. But he is not the creator of the music that we recognize as the backdrop that we call the break beats. He's not the creator. He's not a musician. He just played the music. He's a DJ.
Just play the breaks, yeah.
Right. And so to the people who go hard and are ready to shoot up a party, are ready to commit Harry Carey or whatever serious, things that you're ready to do as a result of feeling as though Kool Herc isn't getting the proper respect that he deserves. What about the artists who actually made the music? What about the respect that they deserve? You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that and shout out and rest in peace to the king and godfather of soul, James Brown, the legendary artist that created the music that we recognize as the backdrop that became the hip hop culture.
And also shout out to the Jamaican sound clashes as well, the dub, because if it wasn't for that as well. But I would say this is what's triggered a response in me now, and it's like going full circle.
Keep it going, keep going, man.
Yeah, because I grew up in my dad was heavily into funk and soul, and I've actually literally he's made his own Spotify playlist, which has taken him like a little while to redo. Like, so I've been listening to that, like literally things like BT Express, Donald Byrd, the Blackbirds, Cameo, Crown Heights, Calling Again. So these are the ones. So when I listen to this music, I know where the breaks of the popular music that we know what hip hop comes from. But I guess when I say we made something from nothing, it's not with disrespect to the elders and to the people. I know you get. I'm just saying it's like being in a situation where you don't have the ability to learn how to play instruments, where you don't have the support networks, like you were explaining in the last pod, you had all of these programs in place to help you build you towards this. The mayor then said, nah, and President of the mayor is like, no, you're not getting this anymore. Now you're left into a place where you don't have the ability to the time to learn it. You weren't in a safe environments to do so. You didn't have the support networks. There was no faith. Things were crumbling around you. But yet, once again, like you said, like people like Kool Herc and the other originators and your Grandmaster Flashes literally had to take music and things get inspired. Like, once again, like you just said, the 12 notes and the 32 semitones, they basically took that, put it together and said, you know what? Now let's do something else on top of it. Because yes, you're right. When it comes to James Brown, if he wasn't talking like, "Hey, well, jump back and you would never had any other inspiration for people to jump up and say, "No, I want to say something now." And then the MC was born. Then from the end, because as we know, it was DJs were the main showcases. Then it was the MCs. Then it became more MCs and DJs, and then it was a shared platform. And here we are today. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
no, definitely. And I should have rephrased the way I said it a different way, but it comes from a trueness that it's inherent in when our ancestors, that it's our sound, it's our feet and our sound that from generation to generation we're inspired and we create from what we aspired. And so that's what I was trying to allude to. But yeah, at the end of the day, we all inspired by someone. James Brown. If you talk about orators, great orators like Dr. King, Malcolm X, they were great MCs, but in their own way. But we were all inspired by someone. So again, I should have phrased it differently, but it comes from the same mindset.
I agree. Yeah, I think that the only reason really why I interjected and said, the thing about taking something from nothing is because I understood what you meant. But I don't think that everyone listening understood. And just to keep everything in perspective, there's a whole generation of people who don't know, who aren't familiar with James Brown.
True. That's true.
They might not even be familiar with Michael Jackson.
That's right.
You know what I mean? They might have seen, videos and heard a couple of songs here and there, but who knows, in today's world, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So, that's why I can't get mad at an artist like, as an artist like Kendrick Lamar, if he doesn't know about Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Mm.
I wouldn't expect him to really know about Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I'd expect his parents to know about Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And if the connection between he and his parents were the kind of connection where they put him on to things, then perhaps Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five were one of many of the things that they put him on to. But I would never be insulted by an artist from Kendrick Lamar's generation if they didn't give me the acknowledgement that I felt I deserved, because they don't know me. You know what I mean? Who am I to them? That's right.
The ghost of hip hop past.
Right, exactly. Yes, thank you. Yes. Right, exactly. Yes, that's exactly who I am. And they never seen the ghost of hip hop past. They only like, the funny thing is, depending on how old they are, oh man. So I get in these, I'm a prankster. And so I get in these moods usually when I'm in public, and I'll play little impromptu trivia games. Like, me and a lady friend of mine were at a restaurant, and before COVID hit, and so I said, "Excuse me for a minute. I'll be back." She was like, "You going to the restroom?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm about to take a survey." She said, "A survey? What do you mean?" I said, "I'm going to go around to everyone's table in this restaurant and ask every single customer if they know where hip hop was born." Right? So, I mean, this wasn't a prank, but it was my little trivia game or whatever. So I literally went around to every patron in this restaurant dining, and I asked them where hip hop was born. Where did they think hip hop was born? And I got some of the most outlandish answers you could think of. Oh my God!
Please tell.
Someone actually said Anchorage, Alaska. Someone actually said that, and he was dead ass serious. He was dead ass serious.
What kind of QAnon business is this?
Exactly. Thank you. Someone said Detroit. Someone said Chicago. I'm like, okay. Okay, I'm accepting all of these answers, but I'm going to need your permission to film all of you, because I need to get this on film with you saying these answers. And they're like, okay, no problem. So they let me film them. So I have it on film. I have all of these outlandish answers on film. And then one day I was on my way into Midtown Manhattan to my attorney's office, and I got the same feeling. And there was some two black dudes in Manhattan trying to sell their rap CD, and they came up to me and asked me if I would buy their CD, not knowing who I am.
Wow.
So I'm like, you want me to buy your CD? It was like, yo, it's hot. Shit is fire. I'm like, is that right? Okay, that's what's up. I said, all right, well, check this out. I will buy 2 copies of your CD if you can answer 2 hip hop trivia questions for me.
Oh, this is brilliant. You need to make this a show.
Seriously.
That's what I want to do, bro.
Do it.
So I said, I will buy 2 of your CDs if you can answer 2 hip hop trivia questions for me. They was like, what? Hip hop trivia? We got this. What's the questions? I said, all right. I said, first, you have to agree to let me film you and let me film your answers. They was like, all right, no problem. I said, all right. So started filming them. I need your names, how old you are, and where you're from. They gave me their names, how old they were, and what cities they were from. One of the guys was from the Bronx. One of the guys was from New Jersey. One of the guys was 47, and the other guy was 49. All right? Trying to sell me their rap CDs.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, all right, well, you know, I mean, seeing as though being an MC doesn't take great physical prowess. Not if you let Melly Mel tell it though.
Oh wow.
Seeing as though it doesn't take great physical prowess, perhaps you know, being 40 something doesn't, you know, that doesn't mean anything. If you have mastery over words, that's all you need. And you know, and you have good rhythm, that's all you really need. Right?
Facts.
So I said, trivia question. Who was the first rap group to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I said, I will give you a hint. One hint. The group is from the Bronx. Now, mind you, one of these guys is from the Bronx. They got excited. Like, oh, that's easy. I got this. I said, all right. The brother from the Bronx. Let's hear from the brother from the Bronx. Who was the first rap group inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? His answer, Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force.
Oh, God.
I said, bro.
Everyone's an expert, eh?
I said, bro. No, that's going to be a wrong answer. I said, all right, but you know what? I'm going to be lenient. I'm going to give you 2 more chances. Okay? I'm going to give you 2 more chances. And you can consult with your homie. You didn't even consult with your homie. He's your lifeline. I said, matter of fact, you can even pick up the phone and call somebody if you think the person that you're calling has the correct answer. All right? Because I know that you need me to buy these 2 CDs because this is how you're making your bread. No problem. I'm trying to help. So he asked him and his homeboy consult with one another. They go back and forth. I said, you know, I'm going to walk away. Come back. Give y'all a minute. Walked away. Came back. I'm like, all right. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to give me the correct answer to the first question. So y'all thought about it. You changed your answer, I'm assuming, because you know the first answer you gave me is wrong. So go ahead. Who was the first rap artist or rap group inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Eric B. and Rahiem. Huh? I'm like,
right.
I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm doing right here. I said, never let it be said that I stood between a black man and a meal. So here, I'm going to buy your CDs. I gave them the money for their CDs, and I took the CDs from them, and I fucking flung them across the street. Since I bought them, they're mine to do with as I will. Right? And they're not CDs, they're fucking frisbees. You guys got some homework to do. You are far too old to not know. All right?
No, you need literally instead of Regis, we'll call you Rahemus. Like you need Rahemus, please. You need that will no, I'm sorry, like hip hop trivia, that would be amazing. Because like, once again, I'll be honest with you, without even, I get what you mean about in a sense where like the ghost of hip hop's past, because it was things like the Get Down, that kind of rejigs, you know, that soul of hip hop. But right. I'm 35.
Right.
Yeah, I know, but then I think it's also where you are. I think it's where you're born, and you know that makes a massive effect. Being here in the UK, you know, we only got what we received. So when it came to the fact that you wanted hip hop, you were hungry for hip hop. You wanted more. We thirst for that knowledge.
Yes.
Exactly. So but then when you're literally, like you said, there's someone from the Bronx and someone from New Jersey, like literally that you guys can't get any closer if you want to get closer in that sense, and you don't know where I'm just gonna before I get tongue tied, but the restaurant thing.
Dude, there's no excuse. You know, you got internet. They have a cell phone. They can just Google it. You gave them 2
Who
minutes.
said that they could call somebody?
I even walked away. So after I flung their CDs across the street, I said to them, all right, so now I'm going to give you the correct answer to the first question. We didn't even get to the second question. I said, the first rap group to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I said, he was like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. Melly Mel and them.
Whoa, my.
That's exactly what he said. He said, yes. Yeah, oh, shit, Melly Mel and them. I said, yes, Melly Mel and them. Yeah, Melly Mel and them. And I stood there and I said, you know, would you happen to know the members of the Furious Five's names? I said, you guys are old enough to remember the members of the Furious Five's names. So he was like, Melly Mel, Cowboy, Kid Creole, Scorpio, and Rahiem. I was like, okay, all right. I said, I'm Rahiem. It's really nice to meet you guys. And he was like, get the fuck out of here. No, what? Nah. Pull up the fucking IG. Yeah. I just show him my picture.
Okay, now I completely get where your whole thing. Yeah, well, in this day and age, we have to be very specific on what we say and how we say when we come to stuff. Now,
words wisely.
Yeah.
Choose your words wisely.
Okay, yeah, definitely. We came from something, we just twisted it and made it our own. There we go. We just sprinkled something on it.
Right.
And you know, the people. I'm happy that the laws, you know, changed with the type of with the format of our entertainment. You know, obviously we had records first, you know, then it went from records and cassette tapes, or records and 8-track, records and 8-track tape players.
To
cassette players, then CDs,
then mini discs,
right,
and
mini
MP3s,
discs, and then MP3s. So, you know, luckily, the way that we got paid changed with the format that you know, our music is distributed in. Because had it not changed, and we're still battling behind the scenes, as it were, because they have devalued the music, because you can no longer take away. You can't go to a record shop. There's no record shops. So there's no record shops, and so there's no more. You can barely take away something tangible with regards to music. Do they still sell CDs?
Yes, they do, but it's more they're very, very. It's like more of a rarity. You can still order CDs online, but so now there's a push for. There's more of a push for vinyl now. So vinyl is
even more popular than CDs are. And you're not finding vinyl everywhere. Like, you know, no. I have yet to. I don't see any record shops anywhere. So I don't even. You probably have to go online and buy vinyl, unless you stumble across some, you know, some tucked away hidden gem of a spot that, you know, still sells records somewhere.
here in London, we've I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but we have got a major one that's up in central London. But it is like you said, it's like you have to know where it is. There's also I'm in Bush, Shepherd's Bush, so literally just around the corner, we've got an old reggae and dub shop. It was actually on an advert as well, being one of the very few still lasting reggae and dub stores. But you are right, in a sense of just a regular walk into and buy your music. No, you have to go onto like Google, like what is it, Apple, Spotify, Google.
Yeah.
That's where you're getting all of your music now.
Exactly.
So you are right.
Yeah.
My last question is, one thing what technology has hurt the music is those days of when that album dropped, that excitement, like back in the days when people would wait in line for an album to come out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that lines of like waiting in line at like your local record shop or Tower Records. Do you kind of miss that that part of the music too? That excitement when that album drops and you saw like lines of people waiting to get that album?
Well, as far as music and you know, the anticipation of music releases nowadays, I can't really think of anyone that at the moment. Maybe if I think hard enough, you know, I can't think of any artist at the moment who the thought of them releasing music, new music.
No, I was saying, do you miss that excitement like back in the days? Because like I know when back in the days when Wu-Tang dropped that top double album, like me and my friends, we went to the Village and Tower Records,
right,
and we waited in line until midnight until the album dropped.
Oh, so you mean do I miss that feeling?
Do you miss that feeling?
Yeah. I think that's definitely missing from the game. I mean, but I don't think. I think just because I don't feel that way, I don't think that feeling is missing from the game. I just think I don't feel that way. There's probably people, younger people, I'm sure, who feel that way about their favorite artists. You know, I'm sure the people who really, really love Drake, you know, when they hear that he's about to release something, I'm sure there's some anticipatory response, you know, and they wait in anxiety for the release of his music. And I like some of Drake's music as well, but I'm just not, I don't, you know, wait in anticipation for, you know, I don't feel, let me see, who can I think? You know what, actually, to be completely honest with you, I don't think I've ever felt that way about any rap music, ever. Like, no generation, not since the beginning of rap to the present. I think that the only music that I have ever felt that way about was R&B and soul music. Like, you know, when I came to after I transitioned from James Brown to the Jackson 5 and then to Michael Jackson, I anticipated every Michael Jackson release.
That's fair.
You know, with great anticipation.
Right.
But no rap artist did it for me the way that Michael Jackson did it. You know what I mean? Or James Brown. Now, I loved NWA and I loved PE for two contrastingly different reasons. I loved NWA because they were anti-police and pro-black, and I loved PE because they were pro-black. Anti-police too, but to me in a different way. But they were both really saying the same thing when you break it all down, you know. But damn, I lost my train of thought for a second. Never mind.
Say less. Say that we've definitely. Well, once again, I can't thank you enough, there, Rahiem, because I'm going to leave you to get on with your evening. Like we said, we want the exclusive with Armin. Definitely, Armin. We definitely
gonna bring my son and my daughter.
Yeah, 100%. Would love to. We'll be so gracious to be blessed by that. And yeah, just thank you for your time, King. Like for real, just the history lessons, your views on everything, your experience, your knowledge.
Before you go, is there anything you got coming out that you want people to know? Anything coming down the pipeline?
Well, I'm one of the executive producers of the Aaliyah story.
Oh wow.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we're working on it now. There's one Aaliyah story that is out right now that I'm not connected to, but my film production company and I are working on the Aaliyah story right now. We have some key people who are actually really close to Aaliyah, and so we feel as though we have more intimate details of her backstory that the other story isn't touching on, and it's more our plight to tell Aaliyah's story in such a way where we're not really highlighting too much of her connection with R. Kelly.
That's good. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It's more important that people know who she was and not what she did.
Right.
So,
and what you got the experience from the get. That's I'm bad looking forward to that as well. But congrats on that as well. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and my autobiography, I've been slaving like I'm cooking over a hot stove, and I'm about 7 chapters in, so I'm slowly but surely coming to the close of it, and so I'm hoping that will be finished before this month is over, and maybe be slated for release by the end of next month. If not, definitely in March, and then my film production company and I are going to be undertaking the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 story.
Sick. Yo, we got a lot to look forward to. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to my entertainment going forward. Now this is what I get excited for. See, when you talk about music, this is what I get gassed up for.
Yes, man.
But yeah, so to everyone locked in and listening to the No Name podcast, we're wrapping up this part 2 of Rahiem. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to IAmHipHop, and we'll hopefully have a lot more great conversations as this. Peace, love, and all that good stuff.
Peace.
Peace.